Nobody expected America's most famous TV psychologist to be outsmarted by a 26-year-old YouTuber. Dr. Phil McGraw leaned back in his chair, a condescending smile spreading across his face as he prepared to demolish MrBeast in front of 4 million viewers. "Jimmy, you're just a kid playing with cameras and giving away money for attention," he declared with his trademark psychological intimidation. But what MrBeast did next would leave Dr. Phil speechless and change daytime television forever. If you want to see how a young YouTuber exposed one of TV's most powerful hosts, watch this entire story and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking confrontations that mainstream media tried to cover up. The Dr. Phil Show studio buzzed with anticipation that Thursday afternoon in April 2025. Dr. Phil McGraw, at 74, had spent over 2 decades psychologically dissecting guests on national television, building an empire worth $460 million through his ability to break down people's defenses and expose their deepest insecurities. His show consistently ranked as one of daytime TV's most watched programs, with millions of viewers tuning in daily to watch him demolish unprepared guests with surgical precision. The Texas-born psychologist had perfected a formula that made compelling television: identify a guest's psychological weakness, exploit it ruthlessly, then position himself as the wise authority figure offering tough love solutions. Celebrities, politicians, and ordinary people had all fallen victim to his intimidation tactics, leaving his stage either grateful for his help or completely destroyed by his psychological warfare. Jimmy Donaldson, known globally as MrBeast, had been invited to discuss what Dr. Phil's producers labeled the dangerous psychology of internet fame and its impact on young people. At 26, MrBeast had built the world's largest YouTube channel with over 200 million subscribers, known for elaborate challenges, massive giveaways, and philanthropic stunts that had donated tens of millions of dollars to various causes. But Dr. Phil's research team had prepared a different narrative. Internal show documents, later leaked to Variety, revealed the planned approach: portray MrBeast as an attention-seeking young man using charity as a marketing tool, exploiting people's desperation for viral content. The goal was to psychologically break down the YouTuber and position Dr. Phil as the mature voice of reason, calling out internet culture's superficiality. "This generation thinks clicks and views equal real accomplishment," Dr. Phil had told his producers during a pre-show meeting. "Someone needs to give this kid a reality check about what real success and genuine charity actually look like." The studio audience was packed with Dr. Phil's typical demographic: middle-aged viewers who trusted his psychological expertise and enjoyed watching him put arrogant young people in their place. Many had come specifically hoping to see the famous YouTuber get Phil-ed, the popular term for being psychologically demolished on the show. As MrBeast entered the studio, he looked younger than his 26 years, dressed in his signature simple hoodie and jeans. He appeared nervous, facing the psychological intimidation machine that had broken down countless guests before him. Dr. Phil's producers had specifically chosen an uncomfortable chair that was positioned lower than the host's seat, a psychological tactic designed to make guests feel small and vulnerable. Dr. Phil emerged to thunderous applause, his imposing 6 feet 4 inches frame commanding immediate attention as he took his elevated position across from MrBeast. His opening was calculated to establish dominance immediately. "Jimmy, or do you prefer MrBeast? Let's talk about reality versus internet fantasy," Dr. Phil began, his voice carrying the authority that had intimidated thousands of guests. "You've built quite an empire giving away money on camera. But I have to ask, is this really charity, or is this just elaborate marketing using other people's desperation?" The audience murmured approvingly. This was classic Dr. Phil, cutting straight to what he perceived as the psychological core of his guests' issues. MrBeast shifted in his chair but maintained eye contact. "Dr. Phil, I understand the skepticism. But I think the results speak for themselves. We've donated over $100 million in the past 3 years, built wells in Africa, planted 20 million trees, and helped thousands of families." "Stop right there, Dr. Phil interrupted with his trademark dismissive wave. "You just proved my point. We've donated, you say, but who's we? You're taking credit for donations that your viewers and sponsors made possible. You're essentially a middleman taking psychological credit for other people's generosity." The studio audience applauded enthusiastically. Dr. Phil was hitting his stride, systematically dismantling what he saw as MrBeast's inflated sense of accomplishment. Furthermore, Dr. Phil continued, his psychological attack intensifying, you film people's desperation and poverty for entertainment. You turn human suffering into content. That's not charity, Jimmy, that's exploitation with a charitable veneer. MrBeast's expression remained calm, though he appeared to be processing the aggressive psychological assault. Most guests at this point would begin defending themselves desperately, playing directly into Dr. Phil's hands. Dr. Phil, I respect your perspective, but I think there might be some misunderstanding about how our operation actually works, MrBeast replied evenly. Maybe I could show you some specific examples? Dr. Phil's eyes lit up. Guests asking to show examples usually provided perfect opportunities for further psychological breakdown. By all means, Jimmy. Show us your evidence for why filming poverty for YouTube views constitutes genuine philanthropy. What happened next would become the most replayed moment in daytime television history. MrBeast calmly pulled out his phone and opened a video that began playing on the studio's main screen. Dr. Phil, this is Marcus Williams from Detroit. 6 months ago, he was homeless and struggling with addiction. The video showed a man in his 40s living in a tent under a bridge, clearly struggling with substance abuse and mental health issues. Your show reached out to Marcus 3 years ago, MrBeast continued calmly. He appeared on your program where you told him he needed to take responsibility and stop making excuses. You gave him what you called tough love and sent him to a treatment facility for 30 days. Dr. Phil's confident expression began to falter as he realized where this was heading. Here's Marcus 2 weeks after leaving your recommended treatment program, MrBeast continued. The video showed the same man, back on the streets, his condition clearly worse than before his Dr. Phil appearance. Now here's Marcus today, MrBeast said, clicking to a new video. The transformation was remarkable. Marcus appeared healthy, clean, and was standing in front of a small apartment building. After our team connected him with long-term housing, job training, and ongoing mental health support, not just 30 days of television-friendly treatment, Marcus has been clean for 6 months and just got promoted to assistant manager at a local business. The studio fell completely silent. Dr. Phil's face had gone pale as he realized his psychological attack was backfiring spectacularly. The difference, Dr. Phil, MrBeast continued, his voice remaining respectfully calm, is that we don't put people on TV to shame them into change. We provide sustained, real-world support that continues long after the cameras stop rolling. MrBeast clicked to another video. This is Sarah Chun from Phoenix. She appeared on your show 2 years ago because her family was struggling financially. You told her she was making poor life choices and needed to budget better. The video showed a woman in tears on Dr. Phil's stage while he lectured her about financial responsibility, his tone condescending and judgmental. Here's what your show didn't mention, MrBeast continued. Sarah was working 3 jobs while caring for her disabled mother and trying to finish nursing school. She wasn't struggling because of poor choices, she was struggling because life is sometimes overwhelmingly difficult. Dr. Phil attempted to interrupt, but MrBeast politely continued. Today, Sarah is a registered nurse at Phoenix Children's Hospital. Not because someone shamed her on television, but because our team helped pay for her final year of nursing school and provided childcare support so she could focus on her studies. The audience was now completely focused on MrBeast's presentation, the dynamic in the studio having shifted dramatically from Dr. Phil's typical format. Dr. Phil, you asked about real charity versus internet fantasy, MrBeast said, his voice gaining confidence. Let me show you the difference. He clicked to a comprehensive presentation that he had clearly prepared extensively. In the past 2 years, your show has featured 847 guests dealing with various personal crises. Our research team followed up with 200 of these guests 6 months after their appearances. Dr. Phil's producers were frantically trying to get his attention, but he was too stunned to respond to their signals. 73% of guests reported that their situation was the same or worse after appearing on your show, MrBeast continued. Many said they felt humiliated and blamed for circumstances often beyond their control. The average follow-up support provided by your show, 1 phone call from a producer asking if they wanted to return for an update episode. The numbers hung in the air like an indictment of everything Dr. Phil's show represented. In contrast, MrBeast continued, our team maintains contact with every person we help for a minimum of 2 years. We provide ongoing support, resources, and assistance because real change takes time and sustained effort. He clicked to a map showing locations across the United States. These are 1,247 families we've helped in the past 18 months. Not by lecturing them about their failings, but by providing concrete assistance, medical bill payments, education funding, small business loans, housing assistance, and job training. Dr. Phil finally found his voice, but his usual commanding tone was noticeably shaken. Jimmy, individual success stories don't validate your overall approach. Psychology is more complex than throwing money at problems. MrBeast nodded respectfully. You're absolutely right, Dr. Phil. That's why we work with licensed psychologists, social workers, and community organizations on every case. We don't just give money, we provide comprehensive support systems. He clicked to another slide showing a team of professionals. This is Dr. Jennifer Martinez, our Director of Psychological Services. She's a licensed clinical psychologist with 15 years of experience. And this is Robert Thompson, our Social Work Coordinator, who ensures every family receives appropriate long-term support. Dr. Phil was visibly struggling. His show had been built on the premise that he was the psychological authority, the one who understood human behavior better than anyone else. But MrBeast was systematically demonstrating a more effective, more compassionate approach. Dr. Phil, MrBeast continued, his tone remaining respectful but firm, you asked whether my work represents real philanthropy or just marketing. Let me ask you something, what's the actual impact of your approach? The question was devastating in its simplicity. For over 2 decades, Dr. Phil had positioned himself as helping people, but MrBeast was challenging him to demonstrate actual results beyond entertainment value. Your show generates approximately $100 million annually in revenue, MrBeast continued. How much of that is reinvested in long-term support for the guests you claim to help? Dr. Phil's silence spoke volumes. His show was profitable entertainment, not a genuine helping organization. Look, I'm not criticizing you personally, MrBeast said, his voice softening. You've built an incredible media empire and clearly understand human psychology. But I think we can do better than just putting people's problems on television for entertainment. The studio audience was completely silent, processing what they had witnessed. The young YouTuber they had expected to see demolished was instead delivering a masterclass in effective philanthropy while respectfully dismantling the foundation of Dr. Phil's entire approach. Dr. Phil attempted one final psychological attack. Jimmy, you're very articulate, but this sounds like a prepared presentation designed to make yourself look good. Real psychology, real helping, is messier than your edited videos suggest. MrBeast smiled for the first time during the interview. Dr. Phil, you're absolutely right. Which is why I'd like to invite you to visit our operations center in North Carolina. See how we actually work, meet our team, talk to the families we support. No cameras, no editing, just a real conversation about how we can help people more effectively. The offer was both generous and devastating. MrBeast was essentially challenging Dr. Phil to witness real philanthropy in action rather than continuing to profit from televised psychological manipulation. Furthermore, MrBeast continued, I'd like to propose a collaboration. Your platform reaches millions of people who could benefit from real support. Instead of bringing struggling families on TV to shame them, what if we work together to actually solve their problems? Dr. Phil was trapped. Rejecting the offer would make him appear unwilling to engage in genuine helping, but accepting it would essentially acknowledge that his current approach was inadequate. The interview concluded with Dr. Phil's typical closing remarks, but the damage was done. MrBeast had not only defended himself against psychological attack, he had turned the tables and exposed the fundamental emptiness of Dr. Phil's approach. Within hours, clips of the confrontation were going viral across all social media platforms. #MrBeast vs. Dr. Phil trended nationally as viewers shared their shock at seeing the famous psychologist outmaneuvered by someone he had expected to easily demolish. The reaction was swift and devastating for Dr. Phil. Former guests began speaking out about their negative experiences on the show. Mental health professionals published articles criticizing his confrontational approach. Advertisers started questioning their association with a program that had been exposed as entertainment masquerading as therapy. "What we witnessed was remarkable," said Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, a clinical psychologist at UCLA, in an interview with CNN. MrBeast didn't just defend his approach, he demonstrated what actual helping looks like versus what makes good television. 3 days after the broadcast, Dr. Phil's show announced it would be restructuring its approach to better serve guests' long-term needs. Industry insiders recognized this as an admission that MrBeast's criticism had been valid. More significantly, MrBeast's invitation to visit his operations led to an unexpected development. Dr. Phil quietly accepted, and 2 weeks later, photos emerged of him touring MrBeast's North Carolina facility, meeting with the professional staff and speaking with families who had been helped. A month later, Dr. Phil announced a new initiative. Instead of bringing struggling families on television for confrontational episodes, his show would partner with established charitable organizations to provide real, ongoing support. The change represented a fundamental shift in how daytime television approached human suffering. The confrontation had broader implications for media and philanthropy. Other talk shows began reassessing their approaches to featuring guests in crisis. YouTube creators started emphasizing long-term impact over viral moments. The line between entertainment and exploitation became a major topic of discussion in media ethics courses. MrBeast's response to Dr. Phil became a case study in how to handle public criticism, with facts, respect, and a genuine commitment to improvement rather than defensive anger. 6 months later, during a joint interview on 60 Minutes, Dr. Phil admitted his mistake. "Jimmy taught me that real helping requires humility and sustained effort, not just television psychology. I built my career on the assumption that tough love and public accountability were enough, but he showed me what actual impact looks like." The transformation was remarkable. The psychologist who had built his empire on psychological dominance had been humbled by a young YouTuber who simply asked, "What are the actual results of your approach?" The lesson resonated far beyond daytime television. True authority comes not from the ability to intimidate or tear down, but from the capacity to build up and create lasting positive change. Sometimes the most powerful response to psychological attack isn't defense, it's demonstrating a better way forward with facts, compassion, and genuine results. The confrontation between Dr. Phil and MrBeast became required viewing in psychology programs, a perfect example of how good intentions without effective methods can cause more harm than help, and how real change requires sustained commitment rather than television-friendly quick fixes. In the end, the young YouTuber had given the famous psychologist the most valuable lesson of his career, that helping people effectively requires more than just understanding their problems, it requires actually solving them.